It seems a bit crazy when I have to update you every day on rising tensions between nations. At the same time, I have to look at the scripture in the Bible that talks about wars and, more importantly, the rumors of wars part, and ask myself, is all this just a facade? I don't know. With everything going on, I have to ask those questions. And again, I want to remind everybody, this is all on the macro. This stuff is all on a level that we cannot directly change. And the only thing that we can change is how we are prepared to deal with anything that comes our way. So I want to get that out right up front. Anyway, I've got a few articles that is coming out involving the United States and Russia and NATO, actually. And I wanted to share those with you, followed up by an article that, in my opinion, would kind of indicate that all of this is just a dog and pony show. So anyway, let me go ahead and continue here. Let me go ahead and bring you over to the web browser so you can see this first article. It's titled, NATO Unveils Master Plan to Defeat Russia in a Nuclear War as Moscow Says Confrontational Playbook Shows It Was Right to Cut Ties. The article says top defense chiefs from NATO member states have given a green light to a new grand strategy on how to beat Russia in any potential all-out conflict. As Moscow says, the move proves the U.S.-led bloc isn't open to improving relations. On Thursday, ministers met in Brussels to sign off on the scheme named the Concept for Deterrence and Defense in the Euro-Atlantic Area. And don't forget, they're also working in the Indo-Pacific area. According to NATO's General Secretary, Jens Stoltenberg, it is part of efforts to continue to strengthen our alliance with better and modernized plans. The bloc's officials insist they don't believe an attack is imminent, but that it is worthwhile being prepared in any case. As part of the plan, NATO troops would fight against Russia's forces in both the Baltic region and across the Black Sea. The battle plans also focus on non-conventional warfare, including the use of nuclear weapons, cyber attacks, and even conflict in space. However, Kremlin Press Secretary Dmitry Peskov hit out at the adoption of the strategy on Friday, saying that it shows there is no prospect for turning around rock-bottom relations with the bloc. And I believe he is quoted here as saying, there is no need for dialogue under these conditions, he argued, saying that the adoption of such a concept by NATO confirms that once again, according to him, this alliance was not created for peace. Pardon me. It was conceived, designed, and created for confrontation. And I would have to say he's correct. So the next article, I'm just going to read you the headline of this one because it's summarized in the next one. It says, Biden says U.S. committed to defending Taiwan from China, signaling break with decades-long strategic ambiguity. You know it. You can read it. That policy. Anyway, let me go ahead and bring you to the next article. And it's U.S. Defense Secretary Austin doubles down on Biden's vow to support Taiwan against China. And again, this one here will summarize the previous one, so we'll just read this one. The U.S. Secretary of Defense has reiterated a vow made by Joe Biden this week that Washington would support Taiwan militarily if attacked by China, seemingly in a break with traditional U.S. policy. On Friday, NATO defense ministers, here's NATO again, gathered for the second day of Brussels summit amid an ongoing debate among EU nations over whether to establish a small European rapid reaction force. Speaking at a press conference, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin reiterated Washington's resolute commitment to NATO and its sacred obligation to the bloc's Article 5. Asked whether the United States would defend Taiwan if attacked by China, Austin doubled down on U.S. backing for Taipei after President Biden vowed to support the island nation against Beijing on Thursday. Austin promised that the U.S. would continue to help Taipei with its defense capabilities. We remain committed to the One China policy as we've done under multiple administrations. We will continue to help Taiwan with resources and capabilities it needs to defend itself, the Pentagon chief stated. Beijing's One China policy has been tactically accepted by U.S. policymakers for decades, recognizing the People's Republic of China as the legal government of China while also maintaining unofficial diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Austin said he would not engage in any hypotheticals concerning exactly what the U.S. would do if China attacked the island nation, which Beijing regards as an inalienable part of the mainland, adding that nobody wants to see a conflict erupt. On Thursday, Biden raised eyebrows when he responded to a student's question about Taiwan at a CNN forum by vowing to support the island and saying that he was not worried about Chinese military development. While Biden claimed the U.S. had made a commitment to defend Taiwan, the Taiwan Relations Act, which governs relations between the two, does not contain any mutual defense treaty. Austin also pledged to collectively work with European partners to ensure that the Indo-Pacific area region remains free and open, while saying he was open to hearing how a European defense force could complement what already exists within the NATO alliance. The Chinese Foreign Ministry responded on Friday by calling on the U.S. not to interfere in China's core interests. Austin also said on Friday that NATO wishes for a predictable and stable relationship with China, as relations between the two soured further after the blocs expelled 8 Russian diplomats from Brussels and Moscow, responded by completely suspending the operations of its NATO mission. So, and all these articles I will link in the description below. So you see all of this going on. This involves pretty much all of Europe, the Indo-Pacific. It really appears like nations are starting to get ready and basically kind of picking their sides, so to speak, for some type of major conflict. I think that's clear. I think we all understand this by this point. We've seen this has been well established. However, and I have to ask that question. Is this just a dog and pony show? And there are a couple of things that I want to bring up as to why I question everything that we see and everything that we're told. This is one of them. Let me go ahead and bring this article up here. And the other one's real simple. Take 2 seconds. Russia and Israel are connected by very deep bond, and Putin is close true friend of the Jewish people, says Israeli MP Bennett. So, yeah. Russian President Vladimir Putin is a true friend of the Jewish people and has worked hard over the last 20 years to strengthen Moscow's ties with Israel, the country's Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said on Friday morning. Speaking to the press at the start of a working visit to the Bacharov-Ruchi, I'm sure I said that wrong, the Russian presidential residence in Sochi, Bennett suggested that the two countries can work to build up their economic and political relationship. For the last 20 years and even more, you have led the process of strengthening ties between our countries and brought them to this level, Bennett said to Putin. I would like to tell you in the name of our entire country, of all our people, we see you in a very close, true friend of the state of Israel and the Jewish people. According to the Israeli PM, the two leaders had planned to discuss a large number of topics, including the development of economic, scientific, and cultural cooperation. Bennett's trip to Sochi is the first official visit as head of government to Russia. The prime minister assumed office in June this year, following an agreement they will see Israel's leadership rotate to coalition partner Yair Lapid, and I'm sure I said that wrong too, in 2 years. So, let's see. Let me go ahead and finish it. It's short. The visit coincided with the 30th anniversary of the restoration of full diplomatic relations between the countries, which was celebrated on October 18th. On that day, Putin said that the two nations have fruitful cooperation in many areas, including the drive for peace, security, and stability in the Middle East. And here's a quote from Putin. He says, "We are united by a resolute rejection of anti-Semitism, any manifestations of xenophobia and ethnic strife, as well as any attempts to falsify history and revise the outcome of World War II," Putin said. I just, I look at this and I look at all the chess pieces on the board here, and something seems amiss. I can't put my finger on it, or should I say I can't Putin my finger on it. The other thing that I want to make a real quick brief mention of is all of these nations that I've just spoke of, every single one of them, they're really, really, really fond of that jab. Shalom.